You know, we are very much focused in Santa Fe on inclusiveness and on one community going forward together. And I can't imagine how it would be good for public safety or for members of my community of Santa Fe for there to be a group of community members that can have driver's license and then a group that can't have driver's license. Or maybe they can be second-class community members and have driver's permits. I do not think that will work for an inclusive community that's trying to go forward together in a very, very difficult economy. I think New Mexico took a bold step. Some of the testimony I've heard about the issue of people coming from out of state that are not residents of New Mexico to game the system. I've also heard the testimony that the state of New Mexico knows how to be on top of that activity, and we could manage that. But I need to tell you that we have thousands of people in our community in the city of Santa Fe and Santa Fe County that are driving legitimately now with insurance in a safe fashion, contributing to our economy. And I would ask the legislature to not upend that. New Mexico is a leader right now. We're waiting for the federal government to act rationally. We don't know when that'll be. But New Mexico is a leader now. This law is working for Santa Fe and I believe working for New Mexico. And I would ask the legislature to not change it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Eric Wheeler, Police Chief of Santa Fe.
Madam Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, thank you for allowing me to be here in the community. I'd like to speak kind of to both sides of the issue. I think that actually if we look at all three bills that were presented, there is some verification as far as information that's proposed. The first two bills that are proposed, I think, are taking away information that is some of the myths that are out there that are addressed by Representative O'Neill, and how do we actually reinforce those laws to address some of the issues that the mayor brought forward. From the law enforcement perspective, public safety has been mentioned here a number of times. If we have individuals that are actually licensed, and as Representative O'Neill is pointing out in his legislation, that will be verified, it enables law enforcement to have identity on these individuals. It allows the officers that are out there to know who they're actually dealing with. I think the bigger issue that we discussed to some degree is, are we going to do away with individuals migrating into our community from all of the countries? I don't think that's going to necessarily happen based on any of this legislation. The reality is that we're going to have these individuals still coming into our community. From a public safety perspective, for me as the chief of police and for my officers, I look at it as identifying those individuals enables us to know who we're dealing with on a daily basis. Yes, there's flaws in the system. I think that Representative O'Neill addresses some of those flaws in the system, and we need to verify those things so that we can ensure that we're identifying those persons, validating, just like the Secretary nominee discussed. We validate that information so that we ensure that the people that are out there are those individuals that are applying for those licenses. If we have to do that from the state level and ensure, take the issues to go out to those apartment complexes or whatever it takes, then let's do that. But the reality is the average officer that's going to be out there on the street stopping those individuals should know who those people are. If they're identified, then we know who they are. They're multiple offenders. You know, DUI is a huge topic that we've discussed in the state, and we've made some huge strides. But we have individuals out there that are not licensed, and we pull them over on the side of the street, and this is their fourth DUI. How are they going to be accountable to those types of convictions? And how are they going to be accountable to the imposed legislation that's out there to hold them accountable on the far end of it? So that's my opinion of it. I speak strongly, you know, in regards to 78. I think we're in strong opposition to that. I like Representative O'Neill's information that he provided in his bill. I think the information that's provided as far as validating all those things is a strong point that we need to move forward with. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Chief Wheeler. Santa Fe County Sheriff Robert Garcia.
Madam Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, thank you. Again, I would probably be mirroring what the Chief is saying, what the Mayor has said here. There's a law in place, and someone has mentioned that we've been doing this against the law for the past 8 years. There's a law in place. It's worked for the last 8 years. It's worked for law enforcement. I've been doing this now for 31 years. Like the Chief said, we're able to identify these people. The majority of these people that come to this country illegally are hardworking, law-abiding citizens. And understandably, that is something Congress has to deal with. We deal with the criminal aspect, and we do deal with them firmly, and deal with those people that have to be deported. But to go back and change the law that's in place does not make sense to me. So I stand with the current law and oppose all three bills.
Thank you, Sheriff Garcia. Anyone here from Santa Fe County government? It says representative for Santa Fe County. Thank you. Alejandra Celuga, Guadalupe Credit Union. Yes, please. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Winona Nava, president of Guadalupe Credit Union. Okay, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, committee members, I'm Winona Nava, President CEO of Guadalupe Credit Union. We're a low-income designated credit union. We're also a community development financial institution. What that means is the majority of our 11,000 members that live right here in Santa Fe County are of low income. We think this would have an extremely negative impact on those members. They want to drive legally. They want to do the right thing. They're living and working here. They had no illegal intent in getting these driver's licenses. They've been able to come in and get car loans, and instead of driving clunkers, they're actually contributing even more to our economy because they're buying cars from our car dealers. They're insuring them. They're getting loans. They're helping our economy in a time when it really needs help. Our requirements are the same as those of the license as far as they have to have a tax identification number. That means they are paying taxes and they are contributing to our local economy in that way as well. We really believe that it's really, it would just be a hardship on everyone, even our members that aren't, that are fully documented here, because again, like someone mentioned, this is going to be a hardship on a lot of financial institutions that have made loans based on these driver's licenses. It's also going to mean that these people that are already struggling are going to have collateral protection insurance if they can't get insurance. Well, what that means is they get an insurance that it doesn't protect anybody but the financial institution. And it's a shame, but we would have to sell that to them because it doesn't protect the person they have a wreck with, it doesn't protect them, and it's probably 5 times more than they're paying right now for insurance. Our other members are also going to, like I said, we're low income. People are struggling. Their insurance premiums are going to go up because uninsured motorist premiums are going to go up, again, if everyone doesn't have insurance. So anyway, that's my testimony, that it would have an extremely negative impact on the low income members.
Thank you very much. 2 representatives from Somos, Pueblo Unido, Jim Harrington, and community member. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, representatives, sponsors of the bill. My name is Jim Harrington. I'm a retired lawyer. I practiced for many years elsewhere. I'm living now in Santa Fe. I taught constitutional law for a few years, a long time ago. I've been helping out Somos as a volunteer since 2003. This bill is enacted and advising on constitutional and legal aspects of driver's licenses in the state since that time. I'm speaking to address 2 subjects. One is constitutional issues that are exhibited by varying degrees by this bill. House Bill 78 exhibits all these problems. The second subject is the relevance of the Real ID Act to this proposed legislation. On the first issue, the constitutional problem, the first of these 2 problems arises from a large body of case law that I'm sure that the members of the committee are aware of, to the effect that a driver's license, once issued for a certain term, is a property right which can't be taken away by the state without some sort of individualized showing that a sound reason rooted in public safety, like record of bad driving, DWI, or other driving offense, at fault accidents with no insurance. As far as I'm aware, a state has not required to do the kind of mass revocation of a whole class of licenses that's attempted by this legislation, so I don't know of any law on that. But it would seem to me, just as a matter of logic, apply with even greater force to an attempt to revoke licenses of a whole class of people without any kind of showing as to whether they're so that's one problem that I think is, I won't go into how each of these problems affects each of these bills. They're all problems with Representative Nunez's bill, and the committee members can judge to what extent they affect the other bills. The second constitutional issue is another settled body of case law dating back to the late 19th century to the effect that the states are not allowed to discriminate between citizens and immigrants in licensing and other privileges granted to their residents. This is very well settled with respect to legal immigrants because the Supreme Court in its rationale for these decisions has alternated between one thing and another. It's not clear to what extent it may apply to people who are not legally present. The Supreme Court itself has spoken in two ways, that way in the lower courts are divided. But even assuming that it applies only to legal immigrants, these bills do still have, even though they've made a distinction between legally present people and illegally present, they still have some discrimination